What's up?
Hello.
What's up? Oh, and that went Richard. Well, that was a great start. Surely he'll be back in a bit, or his internet dropped out. We don't know. Oh, look like he's back.
Back. I don't know
What happened?
Not a clue. I hit the mouse. There's some buttons on the side, and I think it hit the back button. Not sure what, but yeah.
Great start, but
Move
welcome
that
back.
out of the way. Yeah, it's good to be back.
It is very good to be back. And, well, there's no Karl today, unfortunately.
No,
He had to
we're
cancel
missing him.
Yeah. We're missing him, but he'll be back next week. We promise, and we'll make him be back next week. But for now, I mean, what is it? Season 2? We called it
Season
officially
2. Yeah.
S2E1.
Yeah.
Saying
Find us
at some
online
point-
wire.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you remember that?
Yeah.
Back in the
I
day, you
remember
would go,
that. Yeah.
let us search for Season 2, Episode 15, S2E15. That would be your search query. All right,
Yes.
yeah. Good times.
Definitely. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, so let's just first talk about what we've been up to. We've got some cloud native news, and today we got a 10 minutes in tech where we're going to be looking at container image security, and specifically container image security and scanning with Trivy in GitHub,
Mm-hmm.
and then hopefully push something to ACR. Fingers crossed. This morning, Azure wasn't as forgiving, and we had some issues, but I think that is all sorted. So
They say they fixed it. They put the mitigations in a bad patch or something like that. So we'll see what happens. Fingers
see.
crossed.
All right, but well, normally we go, what did you do in the past week? But what have you been up to in the past couple of months, Richard?
Yeah, so I had Christmas, New Year's, back issues. We got like 3 bulging discs in my back, which is always fun. But yeah, apart from that, it's been good. Work-wise, it's been good. Lots of Azure, lots of Kubernetes, a bit of AWS, lots of infrastructure as code, and getting to play with more cool technologies, which is always good as well. How about you?
Yeah. Pretty much the same thing. I've been off for 3 weeks. 3 weeks. 3 weeks in December. So that was pretty good. Yeah, did nothing for 3 weeks. Well, I got the flu the first week, so that kind of sucked. But
Yep.
I mean, it is what it is. And yeah, got to play with more tech, new tech. Was excited to start up this again.
Yep.
Started blogging again. January, did not blog for over a year, but got my blogging mojo back. So
Nice.
always good. Yeah, and I started playing with some AI stuff as well on Kubernetes. Kaito, we will do a session on that at some point.
We
that
definitely should do, yeah.
So good. So good. Other than that, yeah, nope. Playing with tech. Add more tech. Oh, yeah. Nothing, no particular. Well, Kubernetes. Oh, I did. Yeah. Wait. I got my CKA in December.
You did, yes. Congratulations.
Almost forgot about that.
We just need to get Karl to actually sit and book his exam now and not let this expire. Yeah. This one expire. But yeah.
All right. Hello, Robin.
Hello, Robin.
Thank you for joining. I watched the replay of yesterday's show. Robin
yes.
Richard. Yeah.
Yeah. All about Carpenter on Azure, or Node Auto Provision, as it's called.
Node Auto Provisioning. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's good. I got a Carpenter story with Kaito as well, but that's nice. All right. Nice. Yeah, so today we're going to take a little look at some container image scanning. I did a series on that through some blog posts. It's going to be way bigger than just 10 minutes. I've actually got something scheduled on Robin's show to dive into this way more, but this is a sneak preview on the stuff I blogged about and see how easy you can set it up. Some pros, cons. I will take it from there, but well, we always have our, little cloud native news, so let's get to that. All right.
I do like that. It's good to see that back.
I still know where the button is. That's good.
Yeah.
All right. So news. KubeCon.
KubeCon is coming up. that's the biggest bit of news we got. KubeCon in Paris in March, and me and Wesley will be there. So hopefully we get to see some people who are watching this and find us, come say hi. We'll come find you as well. Looks like there's going to be some really cool sessions. I started planning some sessions already.
What you did?
Got the Azure. Yeah. I've gone through my schedule and started planning a few sessions. So I might actually attend some sessions this time, because usually I just sort of meet people and talk and network. The odd session here and there. The keynotes, obviously, I always go to them, because it's always good to see those and see how many people are actually there at the events. Yeah, and obviously we've got the Azure pre-day on Monday, so that should be fun as well. No, not the Monday, it's on the Tuesday. Sorry, yes, the Tuesday.
Yeah,
because the
Tuesday,
Mondays
Wednesday,
when I'm traveling.
Thursday.
Yeah. So yeah, super excited for that as well. See all the AKS guys and girls and women, and yeah, it should be a lot of fun. So hopefully we'll get some new cool announcements and stuff. I always like them.
Yeah, I've never visited the pre-day, so that's what I'm going to do for the first time this time. And other than KubeCon, there's lots of events being published these days. Lots of call for speakers. I mean, we got Experts Live Netherlands. We've got Azure Lowlands, which is now called Azure and AI Lowlands, which is a very interesting twist to things. Experts Live Europe as well.
And they've just announced an Experts Live Kenya, I think it was, as well.
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah.
They are expanding.
Mm-hmm.
But I did put in some CFPs, so we'll see.
Yeah. I think I did some with you for the Europe one, Experts Live, so hopefully that happens. And then also we've got another cool event happening right now called 90 Days of DevOps, which me and Karl did a session for, which came out on the 31st of January. So from the beginning of the year, 90 days worth of content, all from our friend Michael Cade. He's not actually making the content, he's just running it. He has done a few videos. So yeah, definitely check that out.
And much respect to organizing something like that. I mean, you and Gregor and a bunch of other people also do the Festive Tech every year.
Yes.
I was chatting with Michael earlier when we were putting in our session. The amount of effort you need to put in, to organize it, to gather the people, chase for content, and all of that stuff is just mad respect.
Yeah,
when you're doing that, that's quite some work.
Yeah, and Robin's put a nice comment in that we can't forget about the MVP summit. So a lot of MVPs are going off to the mothership, Microsoft headquarters, and
the mothership.
The mothership, yeah. Unfortunately, me and Wesley won't be going. We are still MVPs, don't worry. But yeah, we're going to KubeCon instead because it's like the week before, and families and stuff. So yeah, we won't see you there, Robin. But have fun.
No, I cannot miss my family for 2 weeks in a row. I can't do that.
It's just this for me. It's the cats. I would miss
the cats.
So much. Yeah, of course, the cats. Yeah.
All right. Well, we got cats. I kind of understand. Yeah. So no, sorry, we won't be going to the summit, to the mothership. But
maybe
is what it is. Maybe 1 year. I never went, actually.
Yeah, same. I've been an MVP for 5 years. Never been. So
you always got to emphasize that, right? 5 years.
Yeah, only because you got 4. So
Yeah,
I got the blue disc.
I don't.
So mean.
I don't. Maybe I'll get it one day.
Yep, renewals are coming up. So for the MVPs listening, don't forget renewals by the end of the March the 31st. And actually, talking about renewals, the CNCF Ambassador Program is just opened up for nominations again. So you can self-nominate, fill in a form, and see if you can get it. And our good friend Robin, who's watching us, is a CNCF Ambassador. So maybe one day we can get him on here and talk about it and what's involved with the program.
We should definitely do that. That's a good idea. All right. Well, we have one good thing that we want to keep up, and is not go over time and talk for 1.5 hours about something. So we are going to move on to 10-minute tech. Yeah, Karl's not here, so we'll be fine. We'll make it 20, 25 minutes and we're done.
Yeah.
I was just kidding, Karl. We miss you. We miss you. All right, let's go to 10-minute in tech. All right. Container image security.
Yes.
During my holiday, actually, I started doing some more tech again because I missed it. And I thought, let's talk about container image security. Let's go through the whole thing, because the thing is with containers, and I don't want to bump someone against the head, but it's still like a mini operating system, right? It's operating system virtualization. There's still an operating system that needs some kind of maintenance. I mean, you create an image, you store it in ACR, it's an Ubuntu image or a stripped down version of something, or maybe it's a Windows image. At some point, there's going to be a vulnerability.
Yep.
As if someone publishes a vulnerability, we all panic. What do we do as ops people? We drop all the work that we have for that day and we start patching virtual machines and make sure that everything is mitigated. But what about the container images? And that's where, maybe it's who's responsible for that? We always say, Kubernetes and containers, it's driven by developers and it's great for developers. But they're not used to doing all that. They're not. And that's fine. And I think, if anything, with containerization and cloud native, the concept of shared responsibility becomes even more present. I mean, it's ops and dev, and you need to work together to get this down. Because why would you not patch in container image, but would you patch your virtual machine, right? If anything, with the speed that containers can scale, the problem might even be bigger with containers as opposed to traditional virtual machines. Luckily, there are many different solutions out there.
Yes.
Many different. There's some stuff I'm still working on. There's container image signing, which we will do. We did that a couple of months ago. Then Microsoft released some cool stuff on AKS to make it easier for us to use things like Redify and a modified implementation of Gatekeeper using Azure policy. We'll do that next week to follow up on what we did today. But we're just going to start. What if you have a container image that has a vulnerability? And that can happen in two different scenarios. It can happen. It can already be there because someone put in a vulnerable package. I mean, we have a Docker file, and then we do npm installs and whatnot. What if you pull in a vulnerable package? So you would have a vulnerability.
That happened recently, didn't it, with Karl? There was a vulnerability in Karl, and most of the images have Karl in it. Yep.
And Nginx was very, very, very vulnerable to that. Depending on I think it, what was it? WebSockets? I don't know. There was something with that. But then you also have a living living image in your container registry. Vulnerabilities are detected every day. So we got that. So we've got the registry that we need to scan and make sure that whatever is now in there is not containing any vulnerabilities. But we also want to be preventive and make sure that we don't push something that's already vulnerable to our Azure Container Registry. That's what we're going to do today.
Nice.
I need to put on my screen. Which button is that? There we go.
I've done it for you.
Thank you very much. It's been a while. All right. So I've got a repository, container image security, and right now it's got a Docker file, and it's called good image. Well, it's not as good, but I mean, it's just a busy box with a little copy. That's what that is. What it is, and that works just fine. What we have is a GitHub workflow. I've got two of them. One leverages Trivy, from Aquasec. It's a very good solution.
Love it.
And what I'm doing is, when there's a pull request to the main branch, run this. And what it's going to do is simply spins up an Ubuntu image. It checks out the code like you would usually do, and then build an image from the Docker file. And then Trivy is going to do some magic. And Trivy is going to look at whatever we build and then scan it. And I set to severity critical or high. You can do a couple more. And what this does is output it to the logging in the GitHub action, because I do a format table. What I can also do is format it to a template, and that template then is being pushed to GitHub Advanced Security. if you're using that. So if you then go to security tab in GitHub, you will get a list of all the vulnerabilities. Depending on what you're building, you should do that or you shouldn't do that. I'm currently playing with a copacetic as well that uses build kit and then can patch a container image once a vulnerability is detected. That also leverages Trivy, but then it leverages Trivy from within the GitHub action or the workflow or on the runner. So it's not looking at whatever is being published to your security tab. So we've got this. That means that if we do a pull request on something, it shouldn't merge, or well, I can merge. I mean, admin, but it should go. No, you should not do that. So what I've got here is my command line. I already created a branch of vulnerable feature, which is basically this thing. If we check the Docker file, you can see that's the Docker file is currently in the repo. I have a Docker file called Dockerfile bad, and we're going to put that in here. I'm going to delete the old one and then rename the Dockerfile bad to Dockerfile. Yes, we want to change it. And now if we check our Docker file, we can see it's a bit bigger. This is something I grabbed from GitHub. I will put a link to whoever built this in my repo, so you can deserve some credit. It's just a small Docker file, which is going to copy and install a bunch of vulnerable stuff into my container image. Nice. So now what I want to do is push it to my vulnerable feature. So I'm going to git add see push origin vulnerable feature. It's been a while since I've done live demos here, and I did not make a typo. That's quite good with that. All right, so we're going to minimize this. We're going to minimize this. And then we go back here, and what we should see is that we can do pull request, which we're going to do. So let's create a pull request. Let's just call it oopsie, create pull request, and we will see that it's going to do some checks. So what I did is set the exit code on Trivy to 1, which means that if it finds vulnerabilities, it will stop, or it will continue the scanning, but it will fail eventually. So it will never pass, and we cannot merge. That's why. So we just have to wait a little bit.
So I guess also in your function, if you have it to fail, like you could have another step in your function that will push it to a container registry after it's done the Docker build and stuff like that. And then if it fails because it's got critical ones, it won't ever push it to that container registry for you, which is quite nice.
Yeah, so that's the way I build it for this demo. I mean, you can go above and beyond, right? How many times do you want to build the image? Do you want to do ACR build? Do you want to successfully build it here and then push it to the ACR? That really boils down to what your preference is in terms of your development process.
Nice.
I broke it into little steps with different GitHub workflows because that makes it easier to demo. I think if you're going, enterprise scale and do epic stuff, you will probably stitch some more stuff together. I'm working on a blog post that, does it from zero to hero, which will probably be a video at some point. Maybe I'll invite you to be the devil's advocate and be critical there. Because that's, stitching together a lot of different things, but that will bring you, from pushing a Docker file to signing it and to checking it on Kubernetes and using Azure policy to prevent it from even deploying, for example.
Cool.
So it failed. That's not good. So if you click on details, we're going to see this is the command line output. We can see that it detected some vulnerabilities. Something to do with asymmetric private keys, and it classifies it as high. So it's basically saying, nope, don't do this. Don't merge it. And then you can configure GitHub to only allow someone to merge it when all checks were successful. Hello, Alan. Thank you for joining.
Hi.
So it failed because we told it to fail when it finds a vulnerability. So we don't want it to run, or we don't want it to end up in our ACR. So now we're preventing a already vulnerable image to end up in our Azure Container Registry.
That's cool.
Yeah. So yeah, you would say, well, let's not merge this. Forget about it. Close pull request. We're not going to do this. Now, if we were to push a file that was successful, then that passes, then it would be merged into main, and then we want to push it to ACR. What we're going to do here is just close the pull request. Forget about it. We're not going to do this. And then you would go back to your developer and go, hey, we've got a problem. Fix this. And then if you would use something like copacetic, then you could use BuildKit and it would automatically patch it. Mind you, automatic patching, I mean, whenever you do something automatically, especially patching, breaking changes, do keep that in mind. You do need to have a good dev test acceptance. However you do it, make sure it's on point because you don't want to introduce breaking changes, right?
Yeah, and with that copacetic, it's perfect for when the software vendor of the tool you're using, like say Karl, hasn't patched something in their Docker container or something, you know. So, well, the base image, you got Ubuntu in it. They've got a vulnerable Karl image inside that Ubuntu base container, and you've got to wait for the next release of that software, which could be a few days, could be weeks, but you need to get this software out. So that's where copacetic can patch it with the fix before the main base one's done. So that's really cool. And yeah, I've been looking at that as well a bit, and I can see some good uses for it. But yeah, you got to be very careful because could break more things.
Yeah. You see, I just reopened the pull request because I thought of something we could do. So instead of doing a new branch in something, we can just change it back to the good Docker file and then update the pull request, and then we should be able to merge it, right?
Yeah, makes
technically,
sense.
I don't know if this is going to work, but technically we should be able to do that.
Give it a go.
Well, this runs and fails again. We love live demos and experimenting stuff, so let's go. Let's go back here. So we've got this vulnerable image thing. If we check the Docker file, it's going to be that thing. We also still have our Docker file good somewhere. I'm going to copy that in, add it here. Remove this one again, and then we do file. Let's do that. But then it will probably tell us that it's already the same as main. When we try to merge, will it do that? Yeah, probably it will. What else we got in here? Do we have a... no, let's just add a README file as well. Let's do code readme.md. Sorry, we fixed it. And save it.
Little note from the developer.
Little note from the developer. This is how you do documentation, people. This is how you do it. The same with commit messages. Just go, I fixed it. I think I did a commit message internally the other day about something I was working on, and it was draining my soul or something. That was a very helpful commit message. All right,
I think I see that one.
We're going to do a git commit -m. We fixed it. And then we're going to do a git push origin of vulnerable feature. And then if we go back to our pull request, it's going to start. See, we fixed it. So we got a problem with this epic developer. Great guy. He fixed it. So we're just going to wait for this to be completed. And we'll see if it completes. I mean, I think we fixed it. We can check what...
hopefully.
Yeah, what do you do? See, there we go. This is the change that we did. Change it back to BusyBox. Let's see what it does. This should not take too long. It's a very small Docker file. So
it's just done it as you said. It shouldn't take too long. It just popped up saying all checks are passed.
Look at that. So now, normally I would ask Richard for a review, but then this is my own repo, so I didn't tick that box. I can override anything. We're going to merge the pull request, confirm merge. And now that happens, we're going to see what happens next. Let's go back to our repo. And we can see there's a little thing, there's a new action running because we're going to do that in a bit. I've got another one, ACR, which does on push to branch main. So once we merge the pull request, a push happens to the main branch, and then it's going to do a ACR build. Technically, if we do it all within the same job on the same job run, are you okay? Did you just drop your mic?
Yeah, the mic just dropped down.
All right. So technically, if I would do it all in the same within the same job, so on one job runner, I could grab the same image or the image that was just built and then push that. What I'm doing here is doing a build on ACR because that potentially also allows us to do something with quarantining if we want to do it in the future. And there's some cool features with ACR build, but that's what it's doing. So if we now go back here, we can see it is pending. And we go to the details and we see, oh, it's still doing a checkout, logging in. I'm just wondering why it took so long to check out because I've been talking for minutes, but
yeah, maybe it's still related to the Azure issues from this morning because the build agent's running Azure. So
yes, potentially.
Could be that.
Yeah, I was a bit worried when that happened that would our demo work because I wanted to push to ACR. So now it pushed to ACR on sample app. If I refresh this sample app, you can see it here, 126 GMT +1. So it just pushed that. That means we now have something built that does not push vulnerable images to ACR because we divide it into different steps. We check on the pull request and then we push it to main. And then now it's the responsibility of Azure Container Registry with Microsoft Defender to make sure that new vulnerabilities are being detected. What I'm currently playing with is writing a simple logic app. Well, clicking a simple, it's ClickOps logic apps. Well, you could do the template, but you usually export it and then automate it for IAC. At least with logic apps anyway, is to have a little logic app that will be triggered based on what Microsoft Defender for Cloud detects and then creates an issue in your repository on GitHub. Like, hey, we found a vulnerability. Let's do something about it. Nice. And then potentially you could have that, the whole feedback loop that will then trigger a developer to fix it, update the Docker file, well, developer or ops, I mean, it's a Docker file. And then potentially, do the pull request, have that whole cycle, and then decommission the old and purge the old image that was vulnerable. I think that would be the perfect feedback loop. We're currently playing with that. And then next week, we're going to take a look at what if these container images are signed or unsigned, and then we use Redify on Microsoft Azure to see if we can deploy only signed images, which leverages Azure policy, a custom policy. Very cool, very cool.
That's cool.
But for now, that was it.
That was really good. That was good to see. I just want to say hi to Nick because he says hi.
Hey, Nick.
Hi, Nick. Hope you're all right. You just catching the end, so go watch it from the beginning and let us know what you think. Yeah. That was a good session.
That was my and
was
within
really
time. Within time.
Not too bad at all. We've got 15 seconds to wrap up, and then it's dead on the 30-minute mark.
Yeah. So that's what we're gonna do. Next week, Karl will be here as well. Next week, we're going to look at Redify, Gatekeeper, Azure policy, signing those images. Hope to see you then. Thank you for joining. It was good to be back.
Yeah, it was awesome. Hopefully, we'll all be back at full strength every week. But if not, at least two of us will always be here. So it's good to see everyone again.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Richard, thank you. And
Cheers.
have a good day.
See you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.